We atheists are often accused of thinking that we're God, which is obviously not true. That's distinctly not an atheist belief. That's not atheism, that's autotheism, I guess. But there are people out there who claim to have basically that belief, and we're gonna look at one of them today. This video is called We Are God. Here's proof.
How do we know that we are the universe experiencing itself? How do we know that magic is real? How do we know that manifestation is real? How do we know that any of it is actually true if science cannot prove it? Well, it actually can. It actually can.
That was a lot. Okay, how do we know that we are the universe experiencing itself? Well, we, meaning humans, as a collective or as individuals, are part of the universe. So in a kind of fudgy, poetic sort of way, it's almost true. Although if we're part of the universe, that doesn't mean we're the universe. But perhaps we're the part of the universe that experiences the universe. If something has experiences, that doesn't necessarily mean that all of it has experiences. Our brain has experiences, but our fingernails don't, for example. But we could still talk about the human having an experience. So it's okay, although it doesn't seem to me to express anything very interesting. Yes, we're conscious. Yes, we're part of the universe. Okay, and? This quote is most associated with Alan Watts, the guy who wrote The Way of Zen. He was a pretty big influence on hippie brand woo back in the day. I haven't managed to locate any actual source for this, though, from him. I'm not sure that he ever said this exactly. Although this is regularly attributed to him, I'm not convinced this came from him directly. I think this might be sort of a modern formulation of it. But I think the general sentiment did probably come from him, and it must have been going around because eventually in the 80s, Carl Sagan said this in Cosmos.
We are a way for the cosmos to know itself.
Which is almost the same statement, really. And Carl was a bit of a hippie, so it's not all that surprising to hear that kind of stuff. And, you know, I don't have a huge problem with it. It's not really wrong or anything. It's just that it's a really obvious idea put into this really touchy-feely, wannabe profound kind of phrasing. It's mildly grating. All right, the second one, how do we know that magic is real? Well, as far as I'm aware, we don't, but no, apparently science confirms magic somehow, despite the fact that the existence of magic would utterly destroy science in principle. I guess we'll wait and find out how that works. The third one is, how do we know manifestation is real? Well, again, we don't. Manifestation appears to be tremendously, extremely bullshit, but I keep getting recommended this kind of manifestation stuff on my Crazy Subs account, which of course I have to ensure I don't get recommended this stuff on my main account. And this We Are God idea shows up all the time with those. These seem to go together like peanut butter and jelly. Now, the big question here is what these all have to do with each other. I can see how manifestation and magic are linked, but what do those have to do with the poetic but roughly realistic idea that we're the universe experiencing itself? These are said all together in one breathless statement as if they're all interconnected, or possibly even as if they're the same thing. But one of these things is not like the others. At the end, you say science can prove all of this stuff, which is just false. Magic and manifestation are not scientifically supported ideas. Sorry. You're invoking the name of science with its justly massive stockpile of credibility, I suppose hoping that mentioning them together can result in some of that credibility rubbing off onto these other things. But that's not gonna happen. Why even try this?
Did you know that at different times of a woman's cycle, she is more susceptible to subconscious reprogramming?
No. I'm definitely not a woman's cycle expert. I'm frankly not all that interested in looking up whether this is true or not. I think the bigger question is, if this is true, why did you just mention it in the context of scientifically proving magic and manifestation? Where the hell are you going to take this that could possibly be relevant?
Progesterone, if that's how you say it, during the luteal phase is actually when neuroplasticity happens within the brain.
No. Neuroplasticity is a description of how the brain works all the time. How exactly that plasticity manifests can shift. That plasticity is not even just one thing. It's kind of a catch-all term for a bunch of different things going on. Structural changes, functional changes, the making and breaking and strengthening and weakening of connections. It's not just one thing happening at one time in one way. But exactly what's happening at any given time can be altered or prioritized differently. And of course, brain chemistry has a role in that. But to just say that neuroplasticity stops or starts with increased or decreased progesterone, or with the start or the end of the luteal phase, is just not true.
That is when your brain is more open to receiving information.
By the way, I looked for anything supporting anything you're saying here, and I didn't find it. Now, that's not to say it's not out there, but it is to say that I'm not confident that this is actually based on anything. Especially the subconscious reprogramming stuff, which seems so vague and broad as to be meaningless, at least to me. But it's neither here nor there, really. Does it matter if this is true or false? I mean, the whole point is that this is supposed to scientifically prove magic and manifestation, and us being the universe knowing itself, none of which appear related to this. So why are we talking about this?
So everything that you tell your brain, everything that you say to be true is true. Your brain believes.
You just said two completely different things. Everything you say is true, and everything you say your brain believes. Now, the latter sounds obviously false. I do not think that as soon as women get on their period, they suddenly believe literally everything that comes out of their mouth. The luteal phase is 2 weeks out of a month-long cycle. So are we saying that for half of a woman's premenopausal life, she's a thoughtless drone who believes everything she hears? I find myself highly doubtful of this, and much more doubtful of what might have been just a slip of the tongue, but the statement that everything you say is true in this phase. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't have focused on that all that much, but I know this is a video about manifestation. In other words, say things enough and they become true. Say you want a car a lot and eventually one shows up. So I think the claim that something is true if you say it for 2 weeks out of every month deserves a bit of focus here.
Right?
Glad you agree.
And they also say in spirituality that the universe always says yes.
To what? Requests for a new car? Hey, universe, can I have a new car? Yes. Okay. Well, where can I find it then? She said I'd say yes, not that I'd actually do anything. Aw, universe, you cheeky bastard. Very clever.
Right?
Yeah, I gotta give him that one.
So when you're manifesting anything, the universe always says yes. So if you say, I want a car.
No way! You have got to be kidding me. The only reason I said a car is I think I saw it on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia one time when they made a vision board.
You see, my vision is to have a gorgeous yellow Lamborghini that I'm very much looking forward to driving. Yeah, and I'm gonna impregnate Danica Patrick while getting drunk in the Sahara Desert on a dune buggy.
But no, here we are, straight to a new car. You get a car, and you get a car.
You will continue wanting a car, right? But then you go, I have a car. I have a car, I love my car. It's so amazing. I'm so grateful for my car. Your brain does not know the difference between reality and fiction.
My brain? Yeah, my brain does. It definitely does. I can say I have a car all day long. If I don't have a car, I don't have a car. But I don't have a luteal phase for half of my days. So maybe I'm lacking the power.
It cannot tell the difference between you speaking about somebody else or yourself.
I talk about other people a lot on this channel, and at no point have I ever been confused who I'm talking about, nor has it affected my self-image. I don't think I've plagiarized off 1,000 websites because I've made 1,000 videos talking about Elmondo doing it.
You are the universe.
See, I have a problem with that, because that sounds a lot like saying a subset is the set. That's too inaccurate for me to accept.
You are the universe.
No, say it slower, it doesn't get any more true. If I'm part of the universe, that doesn't mean I'm the universe. Also, what? What does this have to do with the new car or the brain confusion?
It's all connected. We are all connected.
It depends on exactly what you think that means, and I suspect that I won't agree with whatever you think that means.
It's the same fucking thing.
What is? What's the same thing as what? We're all the same fucking thing? Or...
It's literally science. Science is magic.
Science is definitely not magic, but what's science? What specifically are you talking about that's science? The only thing you've said so far that sounded in any way like a reference to science was being ultra gullible during the luteal phase. And that didn't actually refer to anything in science. You just kind of said some vague stuff that sounded like a science thing. The rest was just a bunch of disconnected nonsense that had nothing to do with science or apparently with itself. How does this tie us back to manifestation or magic or getting a new car or never knowing who I'm talking about? Instead of telling me how we're all connected, try telling me how your ideas are.
It's all subconscious programming. When you manifest, it is just your brain. Because your brain, when you tell it something, it then will do everything in its power to pinpoint different things in your life to be like, oh, that proves this belief is fact. And then you will naturally start to take aligned action towards those goals. And those things that you want will naturally start to come into your reality.
So hold on. When you say magic and manifestation, are you just trying to say that if you decide you want a car, you might actually do something to try to get the car? Is that all this is? Just an incredibly bland observation put into woo speak? Well, if that's the case, I agree with you. If somebody wants a car, they're more likely to actually try to get one. And if they actually try to get one, they're more likely to get one. It's far less likely for a car to just drop into your lap as a gift from the universe than for you to go out and buy one. Which, come to think of it, puts this seemingly at odds with what you said before about the universe always saying yes. If you think about having a car all day, but you do nothing, you're probably not going to get one. The universe isn't going to do this for you. You're going to have to actually go and find a car. And also, this doesn't really seem to line up with that thing you said about imagining you already have the car. Because if you imagine you already have a car and you actually convince yourself subconsciously that you already have a car, then you're less likely to go out and try to get one because you think you already have one, right? Why would you bother to go out and get a car if you don't think you need one because you already got one? As you say, you take a certain position on the topic of car ownership and then you take actions that align with the position that you've taken on it. If you think I need to get a car, then you're going to take actions that align with getting a car. But the actions that align with getting a car are very different from the actions that align with already having one or thinking you do. So it seems like the actions that you're going to take based on thinking you already have one are not aligned, ironically, with actually getting one. Also, what does this have to do with being ultra susceptible to suggestion during the luteal phase of your cycle? If anything, wouldn't this extreme susceptibility to subconscious programming make you very vulnerable to people coming up and saying, hey, you want to buy me a car? That's the most important thing to you right now. You love buying me cars. You love my car. That seems to be obviously not how people work, but if that were how people worked, that seems really dangerous. That doesn't seem like a positive thing like you're describing it.
Now, is that the universe or is that you?
What, the thing getting you the car because you decided you wanted a car and then you decided to actually take steps to get a car? That's you.
Or is it the same fucking thing?
No, different fucking thing. As I said before, yes, sure, you're part of the universe, but the part is not the whole, the subset is not the set. You can't arbitrarily swap out the universe with you, or vice versa, in any given sentence and expect that sentence to still mean the same thing. You began expanding 13.8 billion years ago. The universe was born 25 years ago. It doesn't work. This is why we have different words for different things.
I know the answer.
I don't think you do.
It is the same.
That doesn't seem true at all. I'm sure it sounds nice and mystical and everything, but that doesn't mean it's true.
Because I've learned manifestation, I've learned subconscious reprogramming, I have learned nervous system regulation, I've done it all. I've learned magic, witchcraft, all of it.
Wow, that's quite the diverse bundle of learnings. So, some of these seem a little more plausible than others. Subconscious reprogramming, nervous system regulation, they don't sound quite as out there as magic and witchcraft. But the way you say these all together seems to imply that they all have something to do with each other.
It's all connected. It's all one. There is an unexplainable force. Because spirit is real.
Okay, so then if you regulate your nerves, that has some kind of a connection to doing literal magic? Well, I have to admit I'm a little skeptical, but hey, you're the expert witch here. I'm like a level 5 or 6 witch max. But how does this establish that the universe and yourself are identical? That's what prompted you to say this, but this doesn't appear to have any connection to that. You did say it's all connected, it's all one, but you weren't talking about the universe and you in that context. You were talking about manifestation, subconscious thingy, nervous whatever, magic, witchcraft, all that stuff. That's one. At least grammatically, that's how I understood it. And now you're not trying to argue any of that. Now suddenly you're arguing that spirit is real, which is a different claim from you are the universe or that all that other stuff is one thing. Is it just me or is basically nothing argued for in this video and you just sort of say one thing, say you're going to support it, and then say something totally different? Which, come to think of it, is probably what you're about to do right now.
Because the gods are real.
Called it.
There is a divine force.
See, we've moved on from spirit is real to gods are real and there's a divine force, which is not the same thing. But I guess if you have this idea that everything is the same thing and words are all interchangeable, maybe that doesn't matter to you. Maybe saying there's a spirit force or a divine force doesn't mean anything different to you than saying there's a cheese force. They're all just words, who cares? At the end of the day, everything's the same thing anyway.
But those are entities and the universe is creation. The universe is the trees. It's God.
So the gods are entities, which is a different thing from the universe, which is not an entity. It's creation and also God. Not to be confused, apparently, with the gods, which again are not the universe. They're entities. I don't know. Words don't mean anything.
It's the trees, it's the grass, it's the ground. You know what I mean?
The universe is the creation and God and the trees and the grass and the ground. These are all equivalent concepts, of course. Yeah, of course, totally I know what you mean. It's so clear.
Like Moana type shit, right?
You mean like the Disney movie or Pixar or whatever it was? Moana type shit in the sense that presumably it had trees and grass in it? Yeah, that type of shit.
It's the goddess of the earth. It is creation. It is you.
The universe, God, trees, grass, ground, is the goddess of creation, which is you. Well, there's a bit of a problem here, which is I'm not a tree, and I'm also not a goddess. Just take my word on that one.
It is within everything.
Is it within the gods, which apparently are entities, which apparently makes them separate somehow from the universe? Your sentences are about as coherent as if you read each word in the dictionary to me alphabetically.
It's like, oh, God is within you. Like in Christianity, you know, they're like, God is within you and is always with you if you know in your heart. No, God is you. You are God.
Okay, that's cool and all, but I really don't see how you're not just mashing concepts together.
Like, straight fucking facts, all right? And they'll be like, oh no.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at right now. I haven't been given anything to lead me to this conclusion, and it seems a lot like you're just kind of saying it because you like how it sounds.
That's like spiritual psychosis. Like, that's too much. Like, you don't want your ego to be that big to be like, you're God.
No, none of that is really the primary concern here, especially not spiritual psychosis. That's a type of criticism I'm very unlikely to bring up. The much worse issue here is that all of your reasons are kind of just you babbling for a while in a disconnected stream of consciousness, and then acting like that was some sort of a chain of reasoning that leads to the conclusion. Just because you say a bunch of words sequentially before the therefore doesn't mean that the therefore is justified.
You are God having a human experience on Earth. It doesn't mean that you're unstoppable. It doesn't mean that you're indestructible. It doesn't mean that you're all powerful either.
Oh, so God is like a multifaceted consciousness where he can have billions of individual experiences simultaneously, and I'm one of them. Or actually, I guess I should say she. Apparently this is a goddess. I don't know what the difference is between male and female when it comes to gods or universes, but apparently there's some sort of difference. But okay, so me being God or an experience of God doesn't mean that I have God powers. I'm not unstoppable, indestructible, all-powerful. But we're talking about this in the context of me being able to, like, will myself to have a car with witchcraft and magic and manifestation and subconscious reprogramming. But then the God thing doesn't seem to be really connected to any of that because it doesn't really seem to have a bearing on what my abilities are, what I can do with my mind. I'm basically a God universe dreaming that I don't have powers. Where's this going to go from here?
And if you're seeing it that way, then you're seeing it wrong.
Okay, then I also don't have the power of being all-knowing, clearly, because despite being God, I can be wrong. Okay, I mean, this is all supposed to be defensive against the claim that you have a big ego if you think this, right? Well, again, I'm not really coming at this from an ego perspective. I can understand how that criticism might come up, but that's really not the primary issue here. Egotistical ideas can be true. The question is this one true? And on what basis should I think it is? And I can't see what that basis is, especially since it's still kind of unclear to me if the idea is even coherent with itself, which is the first step of determining if anything is true. There has to be one reasonably clearly defined proposition. And I think we're getting closer, but I don't think we're quite there.
Okay, because what God, the universe, spirit teaches us is love.
Wait, I thought spirit was a different thing from God. I thought the spirit force was the same as the divine force, which comes from the gods, which are entities that aren't the same thing as the universe goddess. Is that not true? Is the spirit force a the god thing and not a the gods thing? Okay, fair enough. So what God, the universe spirit, which is one thing, teaches us, which are the same thing, is love. So we're teaching ourselves the thing that we already know, but also in a different sense don't know. Because I guess on the big universe scale, God knows all the things and can teach them. But the only people around to teach them to, I guess other than the gods, are the humans, which are God having a dream of not knowing everything, and therefore are able to benefit from him/her teaching themselves. My head's getting tied up in knots with this. Could you just summarize the situation quickly?
Love is creation. Love is the key to everything.
Okay. To be fair here, I'm going to assume that means something.
So move with love. It's not about being better than anyone else. No one is better than anybody else.
Well, I guess not, yeah, but that's not really because there's some sort of requirement that you love everybody, or that the structure of the universe is based on love or something. It's more that there actually isn't anybody else. One can't be better than the other because there is no other, at least in the sense that we're all just a mental event occurring within the God. Then again, though, who's judging what's better or worse? Well, the God, right? I don't think anybody else is around to do it. I mean, I guess the gods could have their opinion, but they're over there being entities. But the God that's not an entity is really the main one judging the quality of its individual experiences, I suppose. The gods might not even be able to perceive them, because they're inside the mind of the God. And so it seems at least possible that the God would judge its experiences as better or worse experiences. Oh, that one's great, and that one's terrible. And it might even judge one experience based on how it intrudes on another experience. Oh, that experience made the other experience so much worse. So I guess the question is this a judgment the God could make but doesn't? Or is this against God's nature to even make such judgments? Is everything it does, everything it feels, evaluated positively? That happened. I loved that, because it happened. That kind of thing. But if so, it doesn't actually seem to act like that when it has its experience of being a human. It definitely acts and thinks and feels not with love a lot of the time. So it at least seems to be capable of that. So the God seems to at least have it in its nature to not be loving, and to not see everything as equally good, because that's what it does when it's a human. It judges things, people, to be unequal. So this standard of total equality of all humans may not be coming from the God. This might be imposed from elsewhere, in which case, where's that being imposed from? Is that where the gods come in? I don't know. I'm getting a headache.
Because we are all connected, we are all one, and everyone is just a reflection of you. Everyone is just a reflection of the things that you've been through.
Me meaning me, as in like this thread of experience, or me meaning the entire God, which I, as this specific instance, can't perceive myself to be. Because the individual human instances of God don't necessarily have anything to do with each other. One isn't a reflection of the other. The things that you've been through are not reflected in the experiences of some other random human. If anything, the experiences of each human are reflected in the God overall, but then not reflected back down to the other mental instances. So this kind of a structure, but not this kind of a structure. Does that make any sense? I don't even know. I'm getting myself all tangled up with this. But I think my video getting all tangled up might just be it reflecting hers.
We are all here on this earth. We are all here existing on earth to connect, spread love, live in abundance, and experience this life.
Does the abundance part have something to do with why we're supposed to summon cars with our brains? Can we get back to that? Because that was a lot more fun than this.
That is the point.
Is it? I mean, yeah, the experience life part, sure. But the God appears to be choosing to experience all sorts of things that are neither love nor abundance. If it wanted to only experience those things, it would. I would think, at least, if it's a God. But instead, it kind of just seems to do whatever. I guess there are some limits to the experience. It's limiting itself to whatever's experienceable by a human, assuming it's not also experiencing being a tree, or the ground, or literally everything else in the universe. That might also be the case. I'm not entirely clear on that. But assuming that human experiences are the extent of the experiences the God is having, it doesn't seem at all like it wants to be confined to love and abundance. It seems to want to experience the full breadth of human experience, which would be why no person is better than another, because they're all just experiences, and the God just sort of enjoys having experiences. But you would think that would also make no particular approach to having the experience any better than the other. Is it loving? Is it productive, therefore creating abundance? Yes? Great. No? Great. It's all experience. I'm here for it. Honestly, the way you're laying out this concept reminds me a little bit of Shmuel Pollan's book All In for God, where he said that the Holocaust was God making an experience for himself because he's everybody and everything. He was the Nazis, he was the Jews, he was the trains, he was everything. And he did it because he just kind of felt like feeling bad that day. He was having self-destructive urges, and he put on a show for himself kind of like a horror movie. Well, isn't that the same as what you're talking about? God was the Nazis, God was the Jews. The Holocaust was him doing it to himself, herself, itself, whatever, because that was what it chose to do through its human avatars. That really does not sound like the whole point is to experience love and abundance all day. Otherwise, God would choose to do that instead. Frankly, it sounds an awful lot like you just sort of feel like saying nice things about this concept, regardless of whether it really makes sense to apply them to this concept.
That is the point.
Okay, sure, never mind. That's the point.
So anything that you go through, anything that happens, it is all for a bigger reason, even if you don't see it right now.
Is it? I mean, even the way you present it, it kind of sounds like the whole point is just for things to happen just 'cause. Experience for experience's sake. What's the bigger reason? Or is that supposed to be the bigger reason? 'Cause that's not very big. That's a very small, pointless reason. As far as reasons go, it's basically on the level of I'm bored.
And death does not separate us. Death does not separate us because we cannot die. Energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Okay, just randomly mix physics into spirituality. That's fine. Well, look, these individual threads of human experience that the god is casting out can end, though, right? Like, it can start being a human, it can spin up a human, and then it can stop at the end, I would think. Is that not true? Can God not do that? It can start it, but not stop it. If we're conflating human experience with energy for some reason, then energy can be created, just not destroyed. Or is there no start and we just don't realize it? What is the actual claim here? In any case, apparently a human life is some kind of bundle of energy, some kind of discrete physical quantity that can't be eliminated, which seems like a wildly inappropriate misuse of a physical concept. Again, it's just kind of tossing words together into a big salad as if it means something.
It just exists in one form or another.
Energy just exists in one form or another. Yeah, in the form of you, or in another form, which is not you. Oh, sure, it might all be part of the overall God being, but not part of you, meaning the experience of being you. That ends. At least that's my understanding currently. Maybe that's not what you think. Maybe when you die, you experience all the little bits of your energy dissipating away into other parts of the universe, which actually sounds like a horrible experience. But I guess God doesn't mind. He's up for anything. God's a freak.
This world would not exist if it was even just, like an inch?
No, not you too!
Like an inch closer to the sun? An inch farther away?
Why do so many people think this now? I've covered at least 3 videos now where this randomly comes up. And I've seen other ones when I've been looking around. They were just really fucking boring, and I didn't bother to do them, but I've seen this a lot in the last couple of years. And it's everybody. One of them that I covered was a Muslim. One was a Christian, Orthodox specifically. And now this, whatever kind of hippie woo this is. This is not confined to one group of people by any means. How the hell is this extreme of scientific illiteracy happening at all, let alone commonly? Like, people get stuff wrong all the time. Getting stuff wrong is understandable. There's a lot of niche, unusual knowledge out there, and some of it's kind of hard to understand. This is not that. This is the science equivalent, as if in mathematics you said 5 + 5 is cat. Or if you graduated from high school not knowing which way up to hold a book. It's that bad. And I keep seeing it over and over and over. It is haunting me.
This world is perfectly created for our existence, for our survival, for us to live in it.
So we have Manifestations and Crystals Woo Lady talking what I can only guess is originally some kind of Christian creationist drivel. That's not even the same category of belief. Why are you parroting that? Uncritically accept your own group's junk. You don't have to do that with everyone's.
You think that just happened?
No, I don't. That didn't happen. Think about it for 2 fucking seconds. We're in an elliptical orbit. How would that make any sense?
You think that just... No.
No. Yeah, exactly. No. Obviously no. You shouldn't even have to Google that to figure that one out, and you couldn't even be bothered doing that.
No, babe.
I am not your babe. After that 1-inch thing, you keep that kind of stuff out of your mouth. I don't want to hear it.
It was on purpose. Because we're meant to exist. Because energy has nowhere else to go. Because it has nothing else to do. Because it's always existed and it never stops existing.
None of that has anything to do with itself. If we're just energy sitting around doing whatever, we don't need the sun for that. We don't need the earth for that. If we can literally die and we still stay alive because energy conservation, none of this matters. It doesn't mean anything. You're jamming ideas together that don't fit. It's like you're an ex-Christian who can't quite let go of Christian cosmology, even though now you're over on this weird manifestation, whatever, cosmology. And it's like trying to make Lego fit together with Duplo.
Duplo only fits on top of Lego, not the other way around.
Does it actually fit?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. The big one.
Yeah, the big Duplo fits on the little Lego.
Really?
But not the other way around.
Huh.
Yeah.
News to me.
Yeah, there you go.
So, What else is it meant to do? It exists in the plants, it exists in the trees, it exists in you. It's all connected and you can connect to it.
Wait, so are the plants and trees also God having an experience? Just anything with energy in any form is God having an experience, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. But again, then the whole thing of being alive doesn't actually matter because it's all just energy anyway. And it's there regardless. It can't go anywhere. It can't do anything else. Doesn't even matter what form it exists in. It just continues to exist. And God keeps on experiencing whatever it is. So the Goldilocks zone stuff, just irrelevant babble, has no apparent relevance to any of this. That's fine. Just say things for no reason. Same reason as anything else happens. It just kind of does. Because, what else am I going to do?
We're meant to live with the earth. We're meant to live in the cycles of the earth. Women's cycles are meant to be synced up to the moon. Men are the sun.
Wait, I have a cycle? What's my cycle? Is it like seasonal affective disorder in the winter and then building things in the summer? But wait, once we die, do we still have our cycles? Once we're just energy transformed into any given form doing anything? Do you still have the luteal phase once you've been turned into a fungus?
We're meant to connect back to our roots. We're meant to connect back to ancient times because that is when happiness happens.
It happens in ancient times? Or in the now times where you're connected to the ancient times? Probably the latter. Haven't the faintest clue what it means, though. Having your cycle connects you to the past? Something about cyclical history? Or,
Comfort is the death of everything.
Okay, why are you living in that comfy-looking house then with all the fancy clothes? Go live out in the snow. Try to live off of foraged pine cones and rabbits.
Simplicity and silence is going to save you.
You appear to have neither. You're covered in jewelry and tattoos. You have 10,000 shirts back there, and presumably some sort of heating system. Also, I've been bothered by the overwhelming noise of your fan this entire video. And also, you've been talking the whole time. Your life looks extremely comfortable. There's plenty of complexity to it. And it may not be loud, but it's a long way from silent.
Healing and realizing that you're not better than anyone and no one is better than you, and we are all just meant to live in love. And when you continue to spread love, you stop the pain.
Why is there pain? Why is that a thing that God chose to include in its experience? See, again, the God seems to want it this way.
When you give love to yourself, you attract it.
Then how come every time I do it on the bus, people move away from me?
Everything in your world literally is just your own subconscious reflected back to you. Whatever you believe about yourself, you are going to experience in your reality. Whatever you believe in general, you're going to experience in your reality.
Like that I have a car. Okay, but that's not true, though. If you constantly tell yourself that you have a car, to the point that somehow you convince yourself of it, sure, you might experience believing you have a car, but you're not going to experience the car. Honestly, when you think about it, this has a bit of a tone of blaming people for their own misery. You know, somebody's very poor and you're like, well, you just didn't believe you have money hard enough. It takes that manipulative, you didn't believe hard enough attitude of Christianity to a whole other level and applies it to everything.
Because this literally is your life. This literally is you. It's all you.
Right, because you're like a fragment of God's experience, okay, but you said it doesn't mean you're unstoppable, it doesn't mean you're indestructible, it doesn't mean you're all-powerful. I can only assume even if you believe you are. If you believe that you can make it rain cars all around you, that doesn't mean it will. You're a limited fragment of the God. You don't have access to its full power. Perhaps you can change things about your little fraction of the overall God universe's mind, but you can't change the entirety of it. If you disagree, let's have a spiritual connection. We'll connect our minds together, and we'll connect both of our minds to the big God mind, and show me how you can change the root universe God such that a car appears in front of us. If that happens, that experience will not be limited to just you, because what you're talking about when you say it's all you is that you are the entire universe, God, and when you understand that, you can connect to the rest of yourself and effect changes that change the entirety of it, the true overall reality of it. In other words, a car really does appear within the universe. But that's just not how it works. That's not a thing. Your magic and witchcraft that tap into this reality do nothing but make you feel warm and fuzzy. And if any of this is true, anything that you believe about the God, the universe, or yourself, you can prove me wrong, and you will not.
So if you hate anybody, if you are triggered by anybody, it's because there are parts of you that person triggers within yourself.
If someone triggers you, that's because you're triggered by them. Very insightful. Thank you.
And it's time to stop living in this fucking comfortable world.
You don't appear to have much room to talk on that front. Also, didn't you say that the whole point is to live in love and abundance? How is that different from comfort? Sincerely, what is supposed to be the difference? Love and abundance, good, almost even mandatory. Comfort, bad, evil. If there's a line at all there, it's a pretty fine one, don't you think?
Alright, because you will never be happy.
As in there's no possibility of being happy, or no possibility if I'm comfortable? What do you want me to do, the Wim Hof thing where I take an ice bath every morning? What specifically are you advocating for here?
You will never appease everybody.
Good thing I never ever try ever. I have a much bigger habit of pissing people off on purpose, which honestly I'm not sure if it's productive, but it is more fun.
Your ego is not bad. Your ego is only bad when you are operating from it in a toxic way.
But how do I tell the difference?
Your ego wants to keep you safe. It wants to protect you. It wants you to stay comfortable in the routines and the patterns and the things that you've been doing your entire life. And that's why people find it so hard to look within themselves and to change their daily habits and change the ways of being that have been for so long, which is men operated, men owned, men whatever.
Well, that clip took quite a turn there at the end, didn't it? I didn't think it was going there, but it did. But okay, as to the other part, your ego is bad because it makes you want to be comfortable and do routines. And also, for some reason, patriarchy. Ego is what makes you go, meh, I'll just have Cheerios for breakfast again. Which I don't quite understand the link there, so I guess I understand it as well as anything else here.
But it's meant to switch. It's meant to switch to divine femininity and softness and love.
Divine femininity. Wait, is there also divine masculinity? And like the divine, the god, has been doing the masculine part for a long time now, and now it means to switch? It's like, now I'm going to do the other one. You know, just to get the full range of experience. Or is the divine only feminine, and for some reason it hasn't been acting like that up until now?
And abundance. We're all meant to live in abundance together.
But not comfort. You have to be extremely uncomfortable in your abundance. That's how the feminines do it.
Men are literally meant to serve us.
Okay, pay me. That's pretty much your only option here, because you told me that you're hyper-suggestible half of every month. You said that. And so whenever you try to boss me around, I can just tell you, no, I'm the boss, you listen to me now. And on half of the days out of the year, it'll just work. Look, I didn't make the rules. Okay, actually I did, because I'm God, apparently. But so did you, and you made them that way too, for some reason. You know, on a social level, this is a very messed up universe I'm learning we live in. I'm not sure if I approve. I think I might try to manifest a change in that. There, done. You are now relieved of your extreme subconscious suggestibility. Unfortunately, that apparently also disables all neuroplasticity, so you're kind of fucked anyway.
Women, because women are goddesses, women are the goddess.
I thought we all are. Like, we're all the same universe god experiencing itself, right? The god, the goddess, that's the same thing. But all of a sudden, it's not us, it's you. And all of a sudden, nobody's better than anybody else, but we're your servants now. And possibly not divine anymore. It's a little bit hard to tell.
Our wombs are directly connected to creation itself.
Your wombs are? Well, yeah, literally everything is. That was the whole thing that you were talking about before. Everything is one thing. It's all connected together because it's all the same. But now you're mentioning that your womb is connected to creation as if that's somehow unique or special. You really are not keeping this very consistent. Beep, 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 what? Beep, 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 beep,
Wake
beep,
up.
Beep, 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 beep.
Hello. In the name of God, the all-loving, all-caring...
Wait a minute. I fell asleep in class again. Why do I always have to end up back here? I've had enough of this. I'm gonna try to manifest my way out.
God exists, and it's obvious.
Damn it.
Yesterday, we talked about the cytoskeleton.